Professor and Chief Political Correspondent for Politic 365, and Katon Dawson, a national Republican consultant and former chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party. Welcome to you both.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, let's start with a tough one. First up, chemical weapons in Syria. Syrian forces versus the rebels, both accusing each other of using chemical weapons. Some experts debate whether any chemical weapons were used, but chairman of the House Intelligence Committee says there is a high probability they were.
That they are either positioned for use and ready to do that, or in fact have been used. Both of those scenarios, I think we need to step up in the world community to prevent a humanitarian disaster.
Now remember, President Obama called the use of chemical weapons in Syria a red line, as in the United States would have to act in some way militarily if Syria starts moving around those chemical weapons. So our question, is it time for the United States to intervene in Syria? Jason.
I don't even know if we can afford to intervene at this point, seeing as how the sequester is going to be limiting our military capacity in the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. Look, no, I mean, I think it was nice rhetoric by Barack Obama, but we have much more important things to be looking at. We need to be making sure that Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon. We need to be making sure the two-state solution doesn't disappear in Israel. Whether or not the Syrian government in the beginning of their civil war right now was using chemical weapons doesn't need to be a priority right now.
Katon.
Well, for once, I agree with the president. Laying the marker down, the United States of America has never sat on the sidelines when people have created this type of chaos against their own people. So I think that certainly Senator McCain and Senator Graham, along with the president, have laid a marker down that what is proper and right. This is a serious thing. When people will use chemical weapons against themselves, what else will they use against their neighbors? So I think the president was correct. He was right. I think it's very serious and something that should concern the American public. We're certainly weary of war and weary of conflicts, but we're a country that looks out.
Topic 2. Senator Harry Reid, a Democrat, is dropping a proposed ban on assault weapons from a new gun control bill because he says it has no chance, I can't even get it out. It has zero chance of passing. But Reid says another senator could bring it up as an amendment in the future. In a recent ABC News Washington Post poll, 57% of Americans say they support an assault weapons ban. The NRA, of course, opposes it. Now liberals like Michael Moore are slamming Democrats.
This attitude of, well, we're not going to be able to, we're not going to get, you know, this is why our side, we have these weenies on our side. Well, we can't get the votes, you know.
Michael Moore says introduce the bill. Let Republicans vote against it. So my question, are Democrats weenies for not bringing an assault weapons ban to the floor? Katon.
Well, for once, this dysfunctional place called Washington is trying to come together with an agreement. And certainly the Second Amendment stands fairly firm in this argument. Again, there's been a lot of pain caused in America, and more from the mental health side than probably the gun control side. So whether Michael Moore calls somebody a name or not, I find comical. But at the end of the day, I think partisanship maybe will work out here, and they'll work an agreement. And Senator Reid was probably being very pragmatic on what the vote was going to look like in the United States Senate.
Jason.
Look, weenie isn't good enough. We need, like, gherkins. I mean, this level of cowardice on the part of the Democratic Party is preposterous. Put the bill forward. If the Republicans don't like it, if conservative Democrats don't like it, it's fine. But this idea of sort of self-censoring legislation because you don't think it's going to pass, that is not what people vote for. They vote for members of Congress. They vote for senators to push through policy, not to back up because they think it's going to be inconvenient or they can't pass it.
Okay, now on to the buzzer beater. 20 seconds on the clock. Republican Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann was practically running away from CNN's Dana Bash, refusing to answer questions about claims she made about the president at CPAC, the conservative conference. Bachmann accused the president of wasting taxpayer money on lavish perks and excesses in the White House, like chefs and a dog walker. Those claims are either misleading, unsubstantiated, or completely false. And as you can see, Michelle Bachmann wasn't exactly eager to answer questions about that. My question this morning, how does making false claims about President Obama impact the Republicans' rebranding efforts? Jason.
You know, the Republicans have such a rebranding problem going all the way back to their primary. But in all honesty, I mean, lies about the president and his lifestyle is not nearly as bad as having a CPAC committee where somebody was talking about how they support slavery. I think what the Republicans need to do in general is they need to get specific about policy and not talk about personality and not talk about all these other sort of social issues that don't really matter. They need to talk about the budget and things that they're good at.
Katon.
Well, look, that's why we have CNN and why we have reporters, and Michelle Bachmann needs to answer those questions. But at the end of the day, CPAC's a good organization. It brought a lot of things to light. But, you know, you got to tell the truth, and you got to have facts.